NSCDC arrests suspected oil thieves, impounds thousands of liters of crude oil in Rivers State. Nigeria loses Africa's top crude oil producer spot. Rice farmers in Rivers State take steps to mitigate effect of flooding. Security expert shares tips on how best to hire local security guards. APC's aspirants for Senate presidency demand fresh zoning formula. On the foreign scene, Russia denies advances by Ukrainian forces along front line. Peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. I am Ifeemi Andrew. 4 suspects have been arrested for illegally dealing in petroleum products in Rivers State. The suspects were arrested from different locations by the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps in the state. In a statement, the NSCDC Rivers State Commandant Michael Oga commended the anti-vandal land patrol team for the arrest of 3 suspects named Amadi Goodluck, 25 years old, Odogu Shedrack, 19 years old, and Ovunda Emmanuel, 20 years old. He said they were arrested in a black Sequoia Jeep at Obele Iba Road in Emoha local government area of the state while conveying 1,250 liters of crude oil concealed in cellophane bags. Another suspect named Chubike Alamezie, 36 years old, was also arrested while conveying about 10 kegs of automotive gas oil AGO, being 25 liters each, in a black Toyota Camry vehicle along Trans-Amadi Industrial Area in Port Harcourt. The statement said a white Mitsubishi L300 model bus was also impounded while conveying about 1,000 liters of crude oil, but the suspects ran away on citing NSCDC personnel. The statement also said that a red Volkswagen car was impounded around the Ndele axis of the East-West Road in Rivers State. It said the vehicle was abandoned with 1,200 liters of kerosene while the suspects took off for the fear of being arrested. He said 2 heavy-duty Mack trucks with about 45,000 liters each laden with crude oil totaling 90,000 liters were impounded by the Anti-Vandal Border Patrol along Kira Sakwenwa section of the East-West Road in Tai local government area of Rivers State. Meanwhile, Nigeria has been knocked off as Africa's top crude oil producer by Angola. This was revealed in the direct communication data of April 2023 monthly oil market report released by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries OPEC. Nigeria recorded its lowest production rate in 2023 with 999,000 barrels per day in April. Angola recorded 1.06 million barrels per day for crude production in April 2023. Crude oil output increased mainly in Saudi Arabia, Angola, and Iran, while production in Iraq and Nigeria declined. Moving on. Some Port Harcourt residents are reacting to President Buhari's request to take a loan from the World Bank. They told our correspondent that although governance is a continuous process, they see no need for the president to make the request for such loans amid the country's debt and a few days to his handover.
I did not see any need for the president to take such amount of money because he's just having 18 days to leave the office. So he should keep the thing for the incoming president to take over from there. The incoming president have the time to carry out his duties as a president and also to eradicate poverty in the country. So let the house should balance that.
No need. We don't used to the suffer. Even though the money come now, those who go chop and they already they sit, they wait. Now here we take a year and now see the money they come. They not go reach everybody. They not approve anything.
To me, it's not bad. He's the president of Federal Republic of Nigeria and he knows the best.
Borrowing that money is not that problem to Nigeria because we don't need the money and they are not going to circulate the money. They're only for interest of themselves.
The money we don't borrow, they don't plenty. Plus this one again, the debt where we don't owe, make it pity us.
Recall that President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday sent a letter to the Senate seeking approval to take a loan to the tune of $800 million from the World Bank to cushion the effects of subsidy removal. The grant is targeted at 50 million vulnerable Nigerians or 10 million households as part of its subsidy palliative measures. Farmers are taking precautionary measures to mitigate the effect of the coming floods on their farms. The chairman of rice farmers in Rivers State, Godwin Akandu, tells our correspondent that farmers in the state have been advised to plant crops with a gestation period of 3 months.
The issue of flood is not what you can ask a poor farmer to handle, but in our little way, we have to take a precautive measure Measure in the sense that we advise our farmers to go in for those crops that has the gestation period of 3 months, not annual crops like cassava that will stay up to a year. If not, some of those things will get spoiled.
Mr. Akandu also appealed to the River State government to assist farmers to mitigate the effect of the flooding.
We need tractors, we need bulldozers. We also need financial assistance to some of these victims to return to farm. Now you can see the cost of Gary. Gary is now being sold at 10,000 naira per basin because most of our farms last year perished in the flood, and the cost of inputs like fertilizers and agrochemicals. We need subsidies, government to subsidize it. When these things are subsidized, there will be more production.
As you may know, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, said that 15 local government areas in the state are at risk of high flooding this year. Some Port Harcourt residents are calling on the state government to speed up the recruitment of the 10,000 youths into the Civil Service Commission. It comes almost 2 months after Governor Wike inaugurated the board members of the River State Civil Service Commission, charging them to conclude the promotion of workers and employment of 10,000 youths within 1 month. Some residents spoke to our correspondent.
It is better he speed our process so that people will know their fate. If they are being employed or considered or not, then they know what's next to do.
The time is limited. Some offices go one person, no cleaner, no messenger, no clerk.
Up till now, I overheard people saying that they've shortlisted names, but I haven't actually seen. I don't know where the names of people they shortlisted are. Whether it is on their same portal of enrollment or there is another place totally different from where we enroll them.
Some offices, you cannot see anybody. But if the government can employ people to fill up that area, it will be more better.
Away from that, a security expert, Aliu Tanimu, says hiring a security guard requires the service of a certified security company and not neighbors and relatives. Mr. Tanimu, retired DSS personnel, said this in an interview with correspondent Emeka Otuka while reacting to the killing of a woman by a former security guard in Port Harcourt. He said employers expose themselves to risk by engaging services of security guards through recommendations from relatives and friends instead of a security company.
Well, this very problem is a very huge problem here in Nigeria. In advanced countries, we have institutions, even private institutions, that set themselves up to become intermediary to provide this kind of service. So what they do is they do the basic investigation, what we call vetting, and train them up, and people come to them to hire them. But here, anybody can come from any other place, and because they pay from the clients is not too good, the people will not want to go to the company because of the company may pay them more and will likely go to do a kind of private arrangement. If you go to and establish a registered private company, the risk will be shared. If something happens, first person you hold responsible is the security company, because according to their act, they share part of the responsibility.
Mr. Tanimu also said the certified security company also serves guarantors in case of any criminal offense.
Every security personnel from a company is expected to have been vetted, and the security company that is giving out that person is supposed to serve as a guarantor to vouch for the integrity of the person they are giving out. And being involved in recruiting people for most security companies as a consultant. And before we recruit them, we also ask them to bring their guarantors. So when issues like this happen, you go through this very chain, bring the guarantors into the picture before even the prosecution. You don't just carry the person straight and go.
Yesterday, police said they are investigating the killing of the former director of administration at the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital, Boma Amaomo Jumbo, by a former security guard. The suspect has been arrested. The paramount ruler of Impiama community in Auda West local government area of Rivers State, Otavie Silvanus, says the Nigerian army has apologized after disrupting the peaceful protest by community on Tuesday. Otavie Silvanus, speaking with our correspondent, claimed that during the peaceful protest against the poor condition of the outer axis of the East-West Road, members of the Nigerian army injured an elderly woman and destroyed properties.
our boys on the protest, they conducted themselves in a very good manner, and the protest was going on peacefully before the JTF, which is the army, come and disrupt the peaceful demonstration, which most of the people sustained so much injury. The community property we are damaged, the canopy and chairs, everything was damaged. Most women, that are old women, that we are also injured, but the protest was very peaceful. The road users, they also joined the protest. Federal government need to fix their road.
The paramount ruler also warned that if the federal government fails to mobilize contractors to the site as promised, the community will resume their protest on the road.
Yesterday, the call come from the Ministry of Works and said the road has been awarded to a company, which the company, they have already mobilized the company, and as soon as possible, the company will be coming to site. We wish that what they said should come to reality and finish up the job. But if they refuse to do that, then there is no option for the community to come out in under protest, and I believe that the protest that the community will come this time around will not leave the road. They will mobilize that company on site on that particular day before Mbiama community will leave the road.
The elders and council of chiefs in Elekbokodu community of Rukboko clan in Obiakpa local government area of the state are appealing to Governor Nyesom Wike to prevail on State Surveyor General to uphold the survey judgment plan of the Supreme Court in a matter between the community and Rumaholu 1961. Dr. Mekele Odu, who spoke on behalf of the council, said they are aware of plans to undermine the community, but urged the parties involved to avoid any move that is capable of causing crisis between both communities.
There are speculations that the Surveyor General of Rivers State is making effort to come to our land to make a boundary between us and Rumawolo without the dispute survey plan. And we are appealing to the Governor of Rivers State and the general public to prevail on the Surveyor General of the state to do what is needful by making reference to the judgment plan which the Supreme Court stated as Exhibit 1 that Omodro Eliwalibo is the land awarded to Rumawolo, and that immediately after Omodro Eliwalibo is the land of Elekbokodu community.
Another chief in Elekbokodu community, Eze Sonny Okbara, accused Rumaholu people of encroaching on lands belonging to Elekbokodu with a court judgment that he says does not cover those areas. Eze Okbara called for due process to be followed in the boundary sharing process.
We are appealing to the Western Governor and also people of the state to ask of your general come and market Elomodoro Libo. We want to know the beginning and the end. Because this small community have been using it, Elwe Libo, crossing other areas that is not in dispute, claiming that is also judgment cover this area and why judgment is in one place. So let this community general come and market that land. Let us have this. You should not be using other lands to come and cross to our Minimba, This is not in dispute. Why communal crisis?
The people of Rumaholu are expected to respond to this. Ahead, APC's aspirants for Senate presidency demand fresh zoning formula. Stay tuned.
Disclaimer: the attention of the River State
for the Senate presidency are kicking against the zoning formula released by the party. Speaking during a meeting with the National Working Committee of the APC in Abuja on Thursday, Senator Musa, representing Niger East, said the party should have consulted them before coming up with such a list.
As a rumors, not until my brother came on air, and that gave us a blow. And we feel, are we really part of this country? Because even if you are talking of from the northern perspective, we have always been the victims, not central. And when you look at the permutation, if you are looking about reward, every democracy comes with its reward. And you talk of building a coalition that will be strong.
Addressing the senators, the APC National Chairman Abdullahi Adamu promised that the party will look into their grievances and get back to them.
We had no sufficient or adequate consultation with you who are contesting, who have shown interest to contest, and it is simple primary principle of democracy that you consult and get the opinion, the views of people as much as possible. But the circumstances that we found ourselves in after the elections frustrated our desire to have time to consult. We owe ourselves, we owe our party that duty to take a look. Yes, what we've done is right, why don't change nothing, for instance. Or yes, what we've done needs some changes or review. We will take a look at what the circumstances will compel us to do, and we will do it by the grace of God.
Others at the meeting were former Zamfara Governor Abdulaziz Yari, Senator-elect representing Imo West Osita, Izunaso Sani Musa Niger East, Umar Sadiq Kwara North, and the Senate Chief Whip Oji Uzo Kalu. The meeting took place 24 hours after angry contestants for the position of the Speaker of the House of Representatives stormed the National Secretariat to query the decision by the APC and the President-elect Bola Tinubu. The development followed the rejection of the party's adoption of a former minority Senate leader and ex-Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Godswill Akpabio, for the position of Senate President in the 10th National Assembly. Still on this, in spite of the APC's choice of Senator Godswill Akpabio for position of Senate President, Senator-elect Itang Williams is insisting that he will support any candidate that has the interest of his state at heart. The Senator-elect, who is currently the Speaker of the Cross River State House of Assembly, tells correspondent Onyekachi Wonsu that the party should allow lawmakers to choose their leaders.
I'm not a member of the NWC. They have their reasons. They say they've done their consultations. For me, I can speak for myself, which is whatever the party decision is known to us. But I view and also look at the candidates by what they present to me, what I've heard them say. And when I ask them questions, you must talk to me. You must have a conversation with me for me to be able to append and say, no, I'm voting for this candidate. Because as you come to me, I talk about my faith. Whatever you have for my faith, put it on this table. Let's discuss and know. So if you have the interest of my faith and my people, I go with you. Let the politics continue so that you are not appointing people as forming an executive council. It should come from us.
The federal government says about 22 billion naira has been earmarked to feed inmates in all the custodial centers across the country. The Permanent Secretary, Minister of Interior, Shuaib Belgori, said this at a two-day conference on decongestion in corrections administration in Abuja. He said the amount was due to the congestion of the custodial centers and called for the reform of the service and custodial center for the smooth rehabilitation of inmates. The Minister of Interior, Ralph Aregbeshola, also spoke on this. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Olukayode Arewola, delivered the keynote address at the event.
And we have been waiting with bated breath to see the reform truly happen in our lifetime. This trend will not change until we begin to match words with action.
And now, we bring you news from around the world.
Russia's defense ministry has denied reports by pro-Russian sources that Ukrainian soldiers have made advances on the front line in East Ukraine.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
On the news this morning, you heard that the NSCDC has arrested suspected oil thieves and impounded thousands of liters of crude oil in Rivers State. Nigeria has lost Africa's top crude oil producer spot to Angola. Rice farmers in Rivers State are taking steps to mitigate effects of impending flooding. The security experts have shared tips on how best to hire local security guards. APC's aspirants for Senate presidency are demanding a fresh zoning formula. On the foreign scene, Russia has denied advances by Ukraine's forces along front line. The news was edited by Choma Ezenwafo. Cloudy weather in Port Harcourt this morning. Peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. My name is Ifeemi Andrew. Good morning. Thank you for your time.